am reviewing the new musical adaptation of Water for Elephants with book by Rick Elice, music and lyrics by the band Pigpen Theatre Company, directed by Jessica Stone, choreographed by Robb and Shana Carroll, and circus designed by Shana Carroll. It is running at the Imperial Theatre at 249 West 45th Street in New York City. Help my show move to the big top by becoming a patron on my Patreon page, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support this show and my podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. There is also exclusive content, including restaurant videos and upcoming releases of written reviews I had done before I moved to this video format. Follow the link in the description and check it out. Thank you to all my current patrons, and welcome to the new ones.
See Benzini Brothers Circus for a one-night only run. Ain't it so? The road don't make it so. The road don't make you young. Ain't it so? The road don't make you young. Live a life worth living when they say it can't be done. Ain't it so? The road don't make, ain't it so? The road don't make you young. Ain't it so? The road don't make you young. Live a life worth living when they say it can't be done. Ain't it so? The road don't make you young. The road don't make you young.
On the surface, Water for Elephants is all the makings of a spectacular Broadway show. It's got huge set pieces, circus acts like acrobats and knife throwing, puppetry, and more, but aside from one significant element which I will get to, the musical fell flat with mostly surface-level storytelling and underwhelming songwriting. Based on the novel by Sara Gruen, it was previously adapted into a movie in 2011. Water for Elephants is partly a romantic story about a drifter, Jacob Jankowski, played by Gruen, who joins the Benzini Brothers Circus as the circus's vet. He falls in love with the equestrian performer Marlena, played by Isabel McCullough, who happens to be married to the ringmaster and owner of the circus, August, played by Paul Alexander Nolan. The other part of the story is an indictment on the cruelty towards animals in the circus world. Of the two, the animal cruelty is the plot that I think hits deeper, even though it's not the more prominent story element, and it happens from time to time, but it's not as pronounced as the romance story. Understandably, no animals are used in the show. Instead, puppets designed by Ray Wetmore and J.R. Goodman with Camille Labarre are used to portray the various creatures, from a small dog to a full-fledged elephant named Rosie. The design for most of the animals are okay. They're not too prominent in the story and serve mostly as background, so not too much attention has been given to literally flesh them out using mostly headpieces. The impressive piece, though, is Rosie, the elephant that August buys to replace a horse that has been put down after an injury. The elephant is only represented piecemeal throughout most of the first act. We see her trunk mostly, as well as a silhouette leading up to her big reveal at the Act 1 finale, which actually is really impressive. That's a gorgeous piece of work there. The puppet team has done an excellent job of making her expressive and alive. If only the rest of the show was that impressive. The circus choreography, like the acrobatics and aerials, are enjoyable enough for a Broadway stage, but if you have been to a circus or Cirque du Soleil and you're expecting that kind of caliber, you'll have seen better than what we have here. I get that it's a tough line to walk here. Benzini Brothers Circus is supposed to be a second-rate circus with cut-rate acts, so narratively speaking, it can't be too good. But at the same time, it needs to be enjoyable enough for most of the audience. In that respect, I guess it succeeds. So in narrative terms, it's accurate, but in overall enjoyability, if you're expecting something that's absolutely jaw-dropping, you're not going to get that. You're going to get a decent performance. The real problem with the show, and what left me a bit cold as I left the theater, was the book and songwriting. There's very little subtext in Water for Elephants. What you see and hear is what you get. For example, let's take one of the great Broadway musicals of all time, Oklahoma, and its song, People Will Say We're in Love. On the surface, the song is about dispelling town gossip, when it's actually about Curly and Lori actually falling in love. The subtext comes forward as the song progresses. Water for Elephants is mostly devoid of such deeper context in its lyrics or in the book in general. There are a couple songs in Act 2 where it slightly dips into deeper context for the characters, but overall the motivations of the characters are right up front. What I did like musically was the arrangements, Mary Mitchell Campbell and Benedict Braxton, and orchestrations by Daryl Waters, August Eriksmoen, and Benedict Braxton-Smith. There's a mix of folk music that fits with the 1930s setting of the musical, with romantic themes that blend well. In that regard, when it comes to the songwriting, it works. But lyrically, I found it rather lackluster. I did feel, though, that the number "The Road Don't Make You Young" should have been the show opener, not the prologue that is given beforehand. The musical is mostly set as a flashback told by Jacob as an older man, played by Greg Edelman. It takes a long time to get to the number "The Road Don't Make You Young," which is really the big opening hit, not the prologue that happens for like 10-15 minutes beforehand. If there was a way to open with that song and then have the older Jacob come on to tell his story, it might hook the audience faster. Though there isn't much underneath the narrative, the cast commits to their parts with passion, and you really have to, considering that there are stunts that happen on stage that would cause serious injury or death if they weren't 100% committed to what they were doing. Grant Gustin and Isabel McCalla are great together as the romantic leads, and Paul Alexander Nolan is appropriately sleazy and sadistic as August. Takeshi Kata's scenic design is overall impressive. The train car design is highly practical for the audience to see the action taking place, and the circus tent has dimension and depth. I loved David Israel Reynoso's costumes, and David Bengali's projection design has some amazing visual vistas of the American Midwest. Water for Elements has some impressive elements, and I think most Broadway audiences are going to be amazed by them, but personally, I felt it a bit disappointing with the wow factor, and the book and lyrics lack the necessary depth of character that make a musical great. But I'm only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see Water for Elephants, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be a link to my Patreon page. Be sure to check that out as well. You can also support my channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be the revival of The Who's Tommy on Broadway. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the theater.